Welcome, 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 everyone, to the Women's Empowered Network. I am so excited to have Joanne with us from Australia, already experiencing tomorrow, so we know tomorrow is coming.
It's looking good.
I love that. So, to get us started, if you would, if you tell us a little bit about your story and journey that led you to what you're passionate about today.
I would love to. And thank you so much for having me here. I'm very excited. Oh gosh, I'll try to do this as succinctly as I possibly can. My career started at the age of 18 in banking. I wanted to go to university, was not allowed. So I was told I needed to go get a job, and being the good daughter, I did. And I stayed there for 17 years. And I ended up in banking, in the part of banking that was always a male orientated industry back then, maybe not
Great.
so much today. But I ended up in what we would call commercial lending and asset finance, a very specialized part of banking. And I ended up teaching men how to do that, which was super interesting and quite enlightening, I might like to say. I can't tell you how many times I got asked, "What do you know, girly?"
Right.
Literally those words, and that's okay. I navigated that and managed to work my way around it. So I was in banking and then ended up as a finance broker for a number of years, for 20 odd years. I had personal tragedy hit me. My first husband committed suicide, and I ended up on my own with a 5-year-old daughter. And within
Wow.
about 12 months, I found the love of my life, which I was not looking for, but he is a beautiful man from Canada, and we've been married for 20 years. And at
Nice.
about the same time, I decided to start my first business. So being coming out of commercial finance, it's interesting how sometimes people enter businesses and enter it with an element of ego, if you will, or new shiny toy syndrome. And I took no notice of any of the things that I told my clients as a finance broker for business owners, and took no notice of it. I didn't do any of it, business plans, any of that sort of stuff. It's interesting that the things that you do. But thankfully, I had a great mentor, and within 6 months, he was saying, "Joanne, come on, you know better." And I did. So I picked myself up and got myself going. And I always like to share that because when none of us are perfect and we enter business with an element of shiny toy idea, the nice shiny place that's going to give me lots of time, money, freedom, all those sort of things, and doesn't always can't work out to plan. I get that as well. So since then and between now, I have launched, merged, partnered, acquired 17 businesses, and one of them, or they've all been essentially sitting in the education space here in Australia. But one of the bigger companies I had was like a professional services department store. Had an education company, law firm, accounting practice, HR, marketing, finance, IT, you name it. So anybody could come in at any level and they get access to all the services. And I built that to 30 million in 24 months. It was a ridiculous ride.
Wow.
Ridiculous, ridiculous pace.
Right, so that's the ridiculous part is the pace and
Pace. Yeah, pace. Ridiculous. And there was a whole bunch of micro elements, problems, but that pace was our undoing. And we ended up liquidating it, and it wiped me completely clean 9 years ago. So these things happen. It took 24 months to build it, but 30 years of experience to get to that point. So I learned
right.
lots and lots and lots out of that. And it took 7 years to wind it down. There was over 100 staff, thousands of clients. It was a large organization. Learned so much from that. The hardest part was the growth piece, not the winding down. Emotionally, the hard part was the closing because all assets gone to clear debt. And that's okay. These things happen, right? So Navigate Biz came about as a result of that, my business that I have today. I started with a business partner. We wanted to help business owners not become a failure rate. The horrible statistics you hear about. Doesn't matter what percentage it is, it's just too high. And I'd learned an awful lot in business, and so did he. Had an enormous business brain on his head, on his shoulders, and we built a pretty nice business. We got through COVID. We had a whole heap of funding from our government here, and we managed to support, I think, about 10,000 business owners survive COVID, which was pretty cool. We had created a lot of online material, etc. I took over the business full time myself in 22. Um, in between, I've had executive roles and various things, but I've always had Navigate sitting here. And this year, I relaunched it from scratch in January. So I decided to pick it up and really run with it 100%. My focus is working with women in business. I have 4 offers, a membership, high ticket offer, some consulting, and master's degrees. And Circle Builder is where I've landed. And Circle Builder is about bringing women into Circle. We've been in Circle for millennia, right? We've done it since sitting in front of caves. And I came about using this narrative as a result of finishing my own MBA a month ago. So this is a new things you do. It is a new narrative for me. It feels incredibly comfortable. I get a lot of great feedback from my audience when I'm talking to them and clients. And it's about supporting and bringing women into Circle, having all different types of people around you because you cannot do business alone. And I also don't believe in doing an online course alone. So I have 6 mentors that come and join me and do this and support women in business. So as succinctly as I can, that's what I do.
That's quite amazing. And I love that a lot of us don't have the ability or the awareness to think big
Yeah,
that at
correct.
that level. That's like you're on another planet for most of the people, right? Um,
Yes,
and
yes,
but you're just, you have the same 24 hours as the rest of us. You still put on
exactly.
your dress or your pants one leg at a time, you know.
Exactly.
It
Yes.
it is. So if we were gonna gear this conversation towards, mostly this group seems to be, solopreneurs.
Yes.
Um, they're life coaches, they're health coaches, they're, you know, some type of service business.
Yes.
What, because I know what you're saying, and I've taken classes about, a typical business will have like 32 aspects to take care of, from your
Absolutely.
bookkeeping to your marketing
Yes.
to,
Yeah.
nothing to do with what you love to do, but
All the stuff.
all the
All the
stuff.
stuff. Yes.
And
Yes.
so you were talking about having a team. So how would a solopreneur start to think bigger than themselves in,
Yeah. I think the first thing is to recognize you shouldn't do it yourself. You on your own, and to recognize that all this frantic behavior of I've got to do this and this, it's normal. So let's acknowledge that it is quite normal. And again, I use the term circle. So find people who can support you. So when I talk about team and speaking to women in business and they're on their own. At one point you want to be in the position the business is structured enough, well enough. You've got the finances that you're going to employ people into your business, but there's things that you can do prior to that. There's nothing wrong with creating a circle around you, and we all should have an accountant and access to lawyers and all those sort of things. But I'm just going to divert very slightly. When I was doing my
sure.
research project for my MBA, it was to understand about female entrepreneurs, their engagement with coaches and their engagement with networks. And I wanted to dig deeper and understand the behaviors that I'd noticed. One of the things that came through loud and clear in a general way was a lot of people, women in business, don't necessarily secure a coach before things go wrong. They should use it as something to help you build and support yourself. So this, I was actually quite surprised. And a lot of the people who are coaches don't have coaches. I found that quite interesting. Super, super interesting. But what we can do to begin with, to get back to the question, is surround yourself with the right people. There is nothing wrong with saying to somebody, well, you're a bookkeeper. I do this. Can we do an exchange of services that you can help me with what I need? I can help you with what you need, and you can build your capacity as you go. So building a team can be that, it can be outsourcing. We've all heard, there's amazing services you can get from, we Australians often use Filipinos. You can build a beautiful team, and it's not just about saving money, it's about building a wider team, an international team, if you will. And these people can do amazing services for solopreneurs at a really cost-effective way. But I've had conversations with people to say, well, this person's going to cost this much. The minimum hours is 10 hours. Well, okay, well, let's party up together and they'll do 5 for you, Ginny, and they'll do 5 for me. And we've suddenly got our 10 and we can get what we need done. So it's just thinking a little bit outside the norm about, A, don't do it alone. Find people that can support you and get stuff done, and think outside the square of how you might do that.
Well, and I think that takes, if you're new, especially too, that there's like three things going on in my mind. One is the person who's always worked a job and that has a certain type
Yes,
of mindset. And then when you
correct.
step into the entrepreneurial world and there's nobody telling you what you need to do or how you should do it or
Yes,
when you should do it.
yes.
So there's that shift, right?
Exactly. Yeah, the shift from employee to employer mindset, because that's what you'll be eventually. And you're the sole employee at the moment, whether you're getting paid or not, you're still the employee. And so this is I feel this is the critical time to surround yourself with the right people. And I will just put in a little plug, if I will. My subscription platform that I've got, I created that deliberately for those types of women who don't necessarily have the financial capacity to spend big money on coaching, or what type of coaching they need, and filled it with all the things that I've learned, all my courses, all my resources, everything. And it's $100 a month. And you can get coaching for me once a month. So I deliberately created that because I recognize we've got a lot of people entering the market from employee to employer. What is the mind shift that I actually got to be consciously aware of? And how do I surround myself with the right people so that they can help me take this thing to where we need it to be? Um, yeah, so for that, you're absolutely right. It is your responsibility. You've got to be right on top of the to-do lists, all those sort of things. So why do it on your own? Find a circle of people that can support you in that. Yeah,
That's brilliant. Well, yeah. And then also learning how to think of yourself as a CEO. Um,
correct.
and
Yes.
then not treating your business like a hobby and poking a stick at it now and
Exactly.
then.
Yes. 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 Exactly. And I often hear people, women start saying, "Oh, I've just started a little business, or I've just started a small business." And the first thing I say is, stop the small, stop the little. I have entered into business ownership. You use the word, I am an entrepreneur, because you are. Not everybody's going to do it. Not everybody has the courage, the fortitude, the resilience to step into it and keep going and build it. So I also stop those words, those negative words, because if you say I'm a small business, we know what we say, we get served. So if you say I'm little and say I'm small, that's where you'll stay. And that's really dangerous for business owners. We've got to build our business to a level that we are not at risk of failure.
It is, and one of the things that I'm extremely sensitive to is when people are more focused on the lack of clients than being focused on what kind of clients they want. And
Yes,
just having
yes,
that subtle shift of focus changes the whole
exactly.
game. But
It
it's,
does indeed. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we can all fall trap to that. And I put my hand up as well. We all have those
oh, yeah.
moments.
Oh, yeah.
It's normal, right? But
It's
to
part
have
of
the
the journey,
awareness,
I think.
exactly. And I think it's having the awareness to go, actually, no, there is an abundance of clients for me out there, because we are a big world and there are so many people just waiting to hear you. They just haven't heard you yet.
Right.
So
Terrific.
yeah,
I
you
love
just need
this.
to have that.
I love that you made it affordable, that you have this circle builder that's just 100 a month and
Yeah,
they get you once a month for coaching. Um,
yeah,
because it's really, I think it's really important to get started on the right foot and the right foundation
yes.
and learning how to think about yourself and your business.
Exactly. And my goal in the circle, it's called Navigate Circle. My goal is that women find their own circle within there. So find circles within circles. And so they might start collaborating with the bookkeeper or with the marketing gal or with the author lady, or whatever they need. And that can shift and change like any advisory board. If we think about corporate, they use advisory board as a language. And I deliberately don't use that language because people go, oh, that's not relevant to me as a business owner or as a small business owner. I go, well, actually, it is. And they do it because it works. We've just got to make it palatable to the people that we're talking, you and I are talking to. And so for me, it was circle.
That's beautiful. So what else do you do today now that you because it's quite the journey and I know there's like
Yeah.
stories within stories within stories of
Yes.
because you just skimmed over the top of it. I did not miss them, going from
Yes.
a widow to remarried to being an entrepreneur, to
Yeah.
having success in business and then losing the business,
Yeah.
but then always getting back up and never stop,
No.
and just learning from it. I think a lot of people, if it's not working, they give up real easy instead
Give
of,
up. Yeah. Yeah. And it's in the hard that the learning comes, right? And sometimes you go, okay, enough life lessons. I'm done with the life lessons. Yeah, you go, seriously, really? I've got another one? Clearly, I'm not paying attention. Sometimes you think, enough already. I get up from the desk and I go for a walk. So I'm fortunate that I live in a really beautiful place of Australia near beaches and all that sort of stuff. So, or I can go pat the dogs. But great question. So yeah, I've got the subscription platform, but there's a piece that I've created that I'm incredibly proud of. And the reason I was able to build a really fast business, that fast-paced $30 million business, was collaborating with my largest competitors in the industry. So I knocked on their door and said, I'm this little orange, we called ourselves a little orange speedboat. You're like the Queen Mary. You can't shift and change in industry as quick as we can. I want to collaborate with you. And 5 of them said yes, which enabled me to build really fast. So that collaboration strategy has always remained with me, always. So what do I do now? I'm an ambassador and partner for a number of networks globally. So Women's Network Australia here, Small Business Association in Australia, Leadership Global, She Talks, and the Backyard Project. So my strategy has always been, yes, I want to build a business. Do I want to be 30 million again? Maybe not, but I want to build a substantial business to recoup for my family what we lost. That's a personal thing. But I
right?
know I've got so much to share for women in business, and I just have a desire to share it with them. So where was I going with that? So for me, it's about building. I lost my train of thought. So I've created a program that I talk about that took me 30 years to pull together, and it is a true collaboration project. So we've got 6 mentors in there. So um, I want to share this with you, and it's not about plugging a project, a program, and people are welcome to look it up, but it to demonstrate the collaboration can be done in a number of different ways. So I'm bringing in 5 other female mentors into my Her Transformation program because I realized I couldn't deliver all the value that I wanted to do because I didn't have the skills. And so I had a vision for this program to be much bigger than me. So it's got me through it. It's got a sound healer because I love this lady sings. She doesn't use bowls, she sings, and you can feel the energy just flowing through your body. And she's there to remove our limiting beliefs, which we all have. And I know that that's really important before you start anything. Let's get your mindset right. And this is in anything that we're doing. I also brought in a fashion designer because I knew the importance of understanding what you wear and the colors and the style and all that sort of stuff gives you that element of confidence. And this is about building confidence in women in business. Then I knew, well, we're all public speaking today. Let's bring in a public speaker. Then we get exposed to unconscious bias. And then we need to understand where are you in flow and where are you not. So 6-month program with 6 mentors. And I share this because this is collaboration, I think, at its finest, because we are all here to support the people who are going through the program, but it's also to share with the audience that think differently about collaboration. Like you could collaborate with, if you and I looked at a tender or a government project and said, well, I've only got a portion of those things to tick, and so I can't apply for it. But oh gosh, Ginny has a whole bunch of skills. Let's collaborate together and jointly lodge that application. There's so many ways that you can collaborate, which gives you an accountability partner, somebody to share ideas with, but it's also a great way to expand what you can do and the impact that you can bring to your audience. So that's predominantly what I do today.
I love that thinking, and I love that and it's funny. A little side story is my late husband. One of the things that I wanted was somebody to be creative with, because I
Yeah,
knew that 2 minds were better than just one. And
Yes.
that's what I love about this multi-author book that we're doing. There's 15 authors. And so we
Yeah.
all have a unique way of looking at the world and a different
Right.
way of serving. And so it takes, like you said, it takes all of us together.
Does. Yeah, yeah. And
Well,
it's more fun.
it is. It
It's
definitely,
more
I
fun.
have found, I've always been a solopreneur for way too many years. And this
Yeah.
is the first time I've worked on a collaborative
Mhm.
project. And I get giddy. I just plain get giddy. It is so much more fun to work with other people, other women, and sharing ideas and getting different
Yes.
insights
Yeah.
than trying to struggle through it by myself. So, how can people reach out? How can people connect with you?
Really simply, they can absolutely find me on LinkedIn. It's just Joanne Brooks on the Gold Coast and Navigate Biz. And you can see on the screen, and my company name is spelt a little bit weird, which does people do stumble on, but it's navig8biz.com is my website. So my phone number, my email, everything is everywhere. So I'm a believer in I'm not going to hide my email or my phone number. You can please call me or you can please email me. There's lots of information on the website about all that I do, and I'm very, very active on LinkedIn. Anybody can find me there. No problem at all.
Well, we'll be sure to let the audience know. We'll be sure that
Thank
we'll
you.
have all this information down in the comments. So we'll make it really easy for you to get in touch with Joanne or her companies and businesses. And we could spend a couple hours here easily.
I
I
think
can
we
just
could.
feel it. Yes, we could. But for the sake of time, is there any parting words of wisdom that you would like to share with us today?
I think the one I'm going to be greedy and go with two.
Okay.
Please don't do business on your own. Don't feel that you should be doing business on. And you've got women in your network, they're stepping in the right direction already, aren't they? Because they're being part of a network. And surround yourself with the right people. Get yourself in circle, and have so that it can be accountability, support one another. I think too many women try to be tough and do it on my own and I can do it. Well, yeah, you can, absolutely. But do it with someone else. Do it together. I think that's the most important thing. With women who are entrepreneurs, like we have a great tendency to be surrounded by. I've got a bunch of girlfriends who've never owned a business, and so I don't necessarily talk to them about business, but I find my research suggests that a lot of women in business are talking to people who don't have the skill set or the credibility to give them the advice. So find your circle of people who are in business and who can support you.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So between Joanne's group and this group,
Yes.
look for like-minded women who have the
Yeah.
skill sets that you don't and
Yeah,
connect with them.
indeed.
This is
Yeah.
beautiful. Well, I've really enjoyed talking with you today,
Me too.
and I hope to see you again soon.
I do too. Thank you so much.